Good evening, morning, whatever it is. I don't. It's not important. My name's Steve Marvel. It's Crucial Survival. I am a formal emergency service helmsman, lifeboat helmsman. And though I didn't do billions and billions of shouts, my time there has served me well, and I'm going to be able to pass on some of that to you. I am a survival instructor, survival specialist, and writer, and I am calm. I am that guy. I'm that calm guy. If anybody else would like to join me in the studio today to talk, I'm going to stick a link in the comments. Hopefully that will filter through to all of the different places this is being broadcast. Yeah, Crucial Survival Training. Yeah, that'll be on the Facebook page and on the YouTube. If you'd like to come and join me with some stories and some techniques, whatever it might be, pop a link in the come and join me. Hit the link. So let's talk about stress. You will get what's called an acute stress reaction if you think you are in physical danger. Now, it's not all of that. Don't you worry. That's what people think, that you've got this fight or flight situation when you're in physical danger. And that is only half the situation. One, it's not fight or flight. It's a fight, flight, or freeze. And the other is it's fight, flight, or freeze if you are in, or you consider that you are in physical or psychological danger. You're not going to be in physical danger in an interview, for instance. However, in a physical situation, yes, in certain circumstances, you might be. I'll give you some examples. And where these techniques, if you like, can sort yourself out. What we're trying to do is, first, there's this lizard brain thing going on, and that's the fight, flight, or freeze. It's pretty ancient, and it's there to stop us getting eaten by tigers, saber's tooth, or otherwise. And so that's just going to happen if your brain thinks that this is going to be a problem. However, if this is something that doesn't cause you physical danger, and you know that it is not going to cause you physical danger, even though some people think it's physical danger, then you will not have that reaction. Now, you'll have seen this. There will be a magician, and what he does is he throws knives at people, and everything is fine. Now, the assistant is like, fucking knives everywhere, axes, whatever it might be. But the assistant's fine. It's like, whatever. Yeah. The show host, however, when they go, oh, come on in, host of the magic show, come and stand here. Nothing will happen. And they get nail gun out. Then these people now are suffering an acute stress reaction. That is because they think, and there's nothing they can do about it, that they are in danger. Even though rational, if they've got their rational head on, they're not. It's a magic trick. But they think they're in danger. Same. The glamorous assistant does not. Well, they know they're not in danger. So the acute stress reaction is blood is pumping, everything's pupils are dilating, muscles are filled with blood. we're ready. Yeah. Legs are going to take us somewhere fast, or our arms are going to do some significant amount of fighting, or we're going to do fuck all. And we said, yes, this is a physical thing, but equally in a mental danger situation, we are trying to gain focus. We've got blood in the brain, we've got pupils dilated, heart still going. And what we, in sort of non-lizardy kind of way, is we're just taking this and it's escalating in our brain. Yeah. And we're going, heart's bumping, I'm in stress mode, and now we've got a sort of consciousness going on about our reaction and about our stress situation. Now is the time to get calm. Okay. Now is the point where you have no red mist, you have no like blackouty type thing. Now is the time to get to calm. There are two ways of doing this, plus something you can have done before, if you like. But two things you could do before, which I'll tell you in a minute. But two things are something you got to do. One is you've got to calm down a bit physically. You're going to be riddled with cortisol, yeah? And you've got to sort that shit out. And the only way to do that, realistically, is to take 2 slow, massive, deep breaths. This works in an interview, all sorts of places. You just need to take 2 deep breaths. This sort's oxygen, cortisol, adrenaline, carbon dioxide, all sorts of shit going on. And now we've gone from going bananas to physically, in terms of hormones, calming down. The other thing, and this is the crux which allows you to do that, is that you have to know that stress doesn't kill you. Nobody's going to die in most physical situations. Yeah? Not going to die. Yeah? It's going to be largely fine. I've been in a situation where somebody's bleeding, somebody's fainting, and it's like, yeah, it's not a catastrophic bleed. They've knocked half a leg off or something, but the 5-year-old has bitten its tongue, bleeding all over the place. It's screaming. The mum can't stand blood. She's fainting. She can't handle the situation. And it's like, right, we just need to sort this shit out and we'll be fine. So there's me, cool as a cucumber, and just sort it out. But she's got heart beating like crazy. The child's got heart beating like crazy. And it's just like, everybody needs to calm down. So child needs to take some deep breaths, even though it's got a mouthful of blood. Mum has just got to sit down and go somewhere else. Yeah. And be detached from the situation. And that's like stage 3 of the situation. So yeah, bin the cortisol if you can with your deep breaths. But the belief that stress doesn't kill you is like massive part of the problem disappears. There are studies, yeah, in sort of all of this isn't going to kill you. Yeah, even sort of long-term stress, it doesn't kill you. Yeah, this bit doesn't kill you. There's other stuff going on, But just know that the stress isn't going to kill you. And it's your body, all that fucking acute stress reaction isn't bad for you. It's your body preparing for action. It likes action. It likes fixing the potential problem or running away from the potential problem. And that is what you can do. You can just escape. You can walk away from an interview. You don't have to do it. And if you know that, yeah, if you've got any amount of rationalness about the situation, you can just say to yourself, well, I can just walk away. And given that that is the case, then stay by choice or not. Use all this focus and roll with it. Yeah. And that's okay. You're allowed to do that. Now, how is it that the assistant of the magician that is not having this problem with the knives thrown at her, but the host of the show is? It is because of one thing. The assistant has done this so many times, it's not even funny. She's done it hundreds, maybe thousands of times in practice. And she's not dead. Therefore, this is not a physically dangerous situation. And though this is all an ancient lizard brain thing, it is caused by a largely consciously appreciation of the situation. It's like, if you think this is a problem, then you're going to get a reaction. If you don't think it's a problem, then you're not. And quite often, you will not think that's a problem, particularly and only because of exposure to either that situation or situations like it. And this is where the real power comes. If you imagine, by the way, I'm doing this live. I've not scripted this and I've not prepared for it. And people might go, but Steve, you knew it was at 8 o'clock. It doesn't matter. If you've got an interview, you'll know it's at like 11 o'clock. Bloody 10:30. You're almost unable to drive. Yeah. Like, I'm in a situation right now where I could fluff my words. I could miss things out. I could even do things and say things that are wrong, because I'm doing this largely from personal experience and from education from people that are firsthand, and I trust that information. So, as a lifeboatman, the first time I see, I've gotten the threat that I was on already. So, but hey, you know what? Nobody died. So, as a lifeboatman, the first time I went out at sea, I wasn't driving, obviously. It was a bit choppy. I think it was a moderate sea rather than a rough sea. But it was a bit, yeah. Bloody hell. Open top boat. It's about 7.5 meters. It's like white knuckle ride like this. Yeah. Feet are in loops and your ass can fucking grip. Yeah. Really, really can. And a friend of mine who was particularly not doing well while we were climbing in Snowdonia. We still joke about the belly hold, which was he had 2 arms, 2 legs on the rocks, and he was also holding with his belly. Yeah. As I say, on this boat was a white knuckle ride, as far as I was concerned. And on that subject, as a friend of mine, another friend, I have a number of friends, but yeah, we're going to go with 3 or 4 at least in this particular chat. A friend of mine, he was in his summer holiday job a ride inspector at a theme park. So yeah, when you go to Blackpool or wherever it is internationally, and you go on that thing, that ride, you're like this. Yeah. Now, you get this acute stress reaction. And that's because quite possibly you think that you're going to die. Now, how many times is a ride anywhere in the world ever fucked up so badly that people have died? The probability of having a problem physically on a fairground ride is infinitesimally small, yet almost everybody that gets on them has an acute stress reaction. He did this as a summer job, so every single day he would have to go round it on every single car before any member of the public went on. He's just like, yeah, gotta be done. So it'd be going round and looping and all of this jazz. And he's not having a stress reaction. And that's because he knows through exposure that he is not in physical danger. So far, if we have a reaction, we're going to bin our cortisol with a couple of deep fucking breaths, and we're going to know that the stress itself isn't going to kill us. And in things like interviews, you can just walk away. Nobody's going to die. Yeah, nobody dies from interviews. But even physical situations on a lifeboat, for instance. Anyway, yeah, go back to the lifeboat in a minute. On a lifeboat, there is no necessity to keep going to, say, a ship whose engine's broken in a rough sea. Because nobody's going to die, chances are, unless they're drifting to the rocks, from a failed engine. But if the sea is sufficiently shitty that the crew is in danger physically, actually in danger physically, like rationally so, dynamic risk assessment so, there's no necessity to go. It's not in a contract that says you will risk your life. In fact, you won't. It's in the contract. Well, it's not a contract, if you like. It's in the contract that you won't. As a 7.5 and later 8.5 meter open top boat, you don't have to go out in a force 8, 7, 6, have done in the dark. That's fucking quite scary. Still calm. Why was I calm? Because I'd done it before. Quite a lot, actually. And so what you do is you just go, no, fuck this shit, and you get somebody else in. Somebody else with like an all-weather lifeboat that can go through anything, through a phenomenal sea. Now, if you don't know what a phenomenal sea is, a phenomenal sea has 14-meter plus waves. You literally can't put an inshore lifeboat, opened up lifeboat, into that situation. 14-meter waves is like, fuck that. Yeah, as far as I'm concerned. But it will cope with anything. They can go and get the bloody boat. Yeah. And if they can't get the boat, then helicopters are going to come and they're going to pull the people off and fuck the boat. Yeah. that's it, how it's going to be. That is, if you believe that it is the case that it's not going to kill you because you can walk away from it, if you've got that rationalness, then that will naturally calm you down. And that is the case. The tactic itself in a physically dangerous situation is, if you can evacuate, if you move away from the situation, and if you've got people in the situation, if you put their back to the situation only, simply put their back to the situation. This is the sort of thing you do with your own children. If something catastrophic's going on, you turn their back to them. And so that is, if you walk away, get away from the situation, as you get away, your stress will abate. You may be able to go back in again, but maybe stress levels you increase. But as you get away from that stressful situation, then that will start to calm down. Now then, so all sorts of tactics thus far. There is this stressful situation anxiety that you can get as well. And this is something that is very difficult to do, because you have to have a word with yourself. A friend of mine doesn't like walking on the cliff paths. And no, I don't mean like on the edge of the cliff. I mean the coastal path. And they'll get a bit stressed about it on the way. And you say to them, it's like, we're in a car. We're not even parked in the car park yet. We're not going to fall off the cliff in the car park. Not even in the car park. But they've had a stress reaction. This is the sort of thing that you need to calm down largely with words. You've gone through that business of the absolute lizard brain. You've got hold of it just a little bit, but now we're in a situation where we've got to have a word with ourselves, and it's just like, we are in a car. We are not on a coast path. We're not even parked. Why is this happening? Yeah, I don't need this yet. Yeah, I'm allowed to have this to a certain extent later, but right now I don't need it now. So you need to have a word with yourself, and it's just like, give yourself permission to have this, but remain calm now. And you'll find, in fact, that will be itself relieving, even when you've got out of the car park. Yeah. But the great thing about that is you already had the stress reaction, and you calm down from the stress reaction, and then you get to the situation, and you are not in lizard blowing mode. You're in rational mode, and you can have a continuous conversation with yourself. You can physically take that cortisol out of you, and and know that just it's not going to kill you unless, like, you can walk away with it at any point. Yeah. And you can say to yourself, yes, it's irrational, like spiders. It is irrational that I am scared of spiders. Yeah. Phobia is somewhat different, but there it is. You've got that situation. You've got this whole gap, yeah, of time to say, it's all right. We'll do the stress reaction later. But what it won't be is that lizard brain massive stress reaction. I'm so intrigued as to what people who do with stress and this sort of thing have to say about this. Just whack it in the comments. This is just largely my experience. As I say, people I've worked with or spoken to who have, like people in the military, who have given me this experience, they imparted this wisdom on me from their personal experience. I've done videos on primary sources of information before, and I'm a big fan of them. God, I'm missing a glass of water. Right, one sec, glass of water. This isn't stress. This is talking. So, number one way, this is where, let's go right back to what I was saying. Number one way, staying calm in any situation, is to have done it before, or things like it before. A primary example is cold call sales. You sit in your office. My partner used to do this. There you go. What you've got, someone gives you instructions, you phone the person up and you talk this script through them, you try and sell them insurance. And the first time that happens is harrowing. The second time, less so. The third time, less so. When you've been doing this for years, it's not stressful at all. It's just work. It's just what you do. You sell insurance on the phone. If you can convince to yourself that that is going to be the case, then all power to you. But the thing that you got to do is just keep doing it, and eventually you will not have that fight or flight or freeze situation, because you've done it so much that you know that it's not a problem. I've been doing live videos for 18 months every day. I get more stressed if I forgot, if you like, not stressed, but I get disappointed with myself. But yeah, it's just exposure. First video you do, most people just clam up. But the reality is they don't clam up quite as much as they thought they were going to. If you are in the, I'm going to send a link. If you are in the Crucial Survival Mastermind community, which is somewhere around here, I'll put a link in. then I have encouraged you to put up a video of yourself as a welcome. That, hey, this is me. And Maxine has done. Nice and calm. I don't know how many videos she's done before, but I know she's done a certain amount of stressful things before. Where's the... Oh, I hate Facebook sometimes. Anyway, here it is. This is the link to the Mastermind community. You are welcome to join and to submit to. And so, yeah, join and live introduce yourself, because nobody's going to die. Yeah. And you know what? You can always delete the post afterwards. Pretty much nobody does in this situation. I've been in sales and marketing groups, and they just go, do this. And you go, really? But yeah, most people do. And it's fine. People don't. Because nobody's going to judge you. So yeah, just introduce yourself in the Crucial Survival Mastermind group, and you'll find that it's not as stressful as you think it was. And then maybe you've got something you want to profess, some skill that you have, or a book review, or whatever it might be. You do that. Do it live. Do another one. Do another one. Maybe you want to have an interview with me. I've interviewed quite a few people. It's not a big deal. Yeah. You'll find you've done a few lives before. Do an interview. And what that is that is related. Yeah. That is related. Doing lives yourself is related to an interview. It's not a million miles away. So one is benefiting the other. And so what you need to do in order to do some practice, this exposure training, is to find something that will lead you along the path to calmness in pretty much any situation. Doing a course to a load of kids, which were sort of scallywags, to teaching a bunch of children mathematics, yeah, or to, I say, teaching courses, reading aloud, playing chess in a tournament, all of these things, interviews, giving interviews in a job situation, believe it or not, is can be considered stressful. Once you've done a few, it's no problem. But if you can do lots and lots of things that are stressful, then stressfulness becomes less stressful, generally speaking. Because if you go out, most people go out in a boat that's very, very fast in the dark, in a little bit of waves, will crap themselves, much like I did. It was a completely alien situation. Yeah. Like, so far from anything I'd done before. I'd sailed, yeah, all sorts of stuff. This was nothing like him. After a while, though, it's like, oh, this is all right. After you've done this like 10 times, and you've done like worse and worse and worse sea, and darker and darker and darker, yeah, well then it's not so bad. So what I'm not saying is go and to seek out people who are bleeding to death, surrounded by people who are panicking, but just take yourself along the path to calmness by exposing yourself to various stressful situations. That doesn't mean quit your job so you can have lots of interview practice. That would be mental. But what it does mean is that you can go to a fairground a few times and get on the ride, which is a little bit more scarier than the last one, or you go camping further from home where you might get lost. You'll find that almost certainly you don't get lost, especially if you can read a map, which is handy. Almost all of your mobile phones will tell you where you are. Things like that. Wouldn't worry about it. In bear country, most people don't get eaten by bears. So I hear. First time I went on a plane, that was weird. But yeah, by the time you've been on a plane like 10 times, it's like, oh yeah, you just look up the statistics. Chances of dying on a plane, fuck all. Yeah. Chances of dying by being hit by lightning, fuck all. Unless you are actually on top of a hill with walking poles or golf clubs, at which point you're more likely to get hit by lightning. Now, this is a situation which I have been in. And yes, we did the sort of duck and elbows thing and then escaped from the situation. But having been in stressful situations before, this wasn't a massive problem. This was on my path to being somewhat more calm. Lifeboat did a lot of it, but yeah, it's like, okay, we can do this, and we sort it out. Both of us, in fact. I wasn't trying to deal with somebody else that wasn't calm. That's a completely different topic altogether, which I will cover another day. But yeah, exposing yourself to stressful situations, albeit incrementally, is the way to be able to deal with stressful situations. And if you've got other ones which are related, the more times you climb, the less likely you are to be stressed about climbing. It's just a thing. Yeah. First time I climbed up a wall, I was perfectly safe. Yeah. There was somebody there that was not going to drop me because they were very good at their job. There was physical equipment that was going to prevented me from falling, and I was fine. I wouldn't free climb it, though I did a certain amount of bouldering. But yeah, you see people climbing in all sorts of places. And you go, oh, I'd never do that. But if you want to do that, you just have to slowly work your way up to that sort of thing. But let's say you can just find related thing. What you've got to do is not be comfortable all the time. If you spend yourself in this risk-averse, fucking boring ass life where everything is safe and nothing is stressful, then anything that's ever so slightly stressful you will fall to fucking pieces. Yeah. Absolutely fall to pieces. So I urge you to do things that are stressful, especially things where you're not going to die. So, in summary, because I've been going on for some time and I'm almost out of water. The key to becoming calm in all situations is to have been exposed to stressful situations. The more related they are to the situation that you are in, the better. This means that your lizard brain, your fight, flight, or freeze brain, will no longer believe that you are in such physical or psychological danger. You can, once you've got this little grain of ability to start to sort this out yourself, you can, through a couple of good deep breaths, bin your cortisol and sort of begin to not be governed by your lizard brain, and believe that the stress isn't killing you itself. The stress, the acute stress reaction, is your body putting yourself in a position where you're going to, or potentially going to, take action. If you can retract from the situation, this gives you two opportunities. One is to actually retract from the situation, which you will find the more that you do so, the more you will get calm. And if you can not face the situation, I don't mean bottle it up or anything. I mean, literally don't face as a situation, then you will naturally calm down. Have a word with yourself as well. Oh yes, stress won't. Yeah, stress. This thing is for you. But yeah, you can't. If you can get your cortisol down, you can then focus. You're actually in a better position than with it, like where you were before. Yeah, if you've got absolute focus, then this is a good thing. Yeah, if you're listening and seeing and all, this is great. Yeah, and for the anxiety, the pre-anxiety problem, you need to have a word with yourself. You need to say to yourself, I don't need it right now. I don't need to be stressed right now. This just doesn't need to be stressed. There's a friend of mine who she had panic attacks, and it turned out it was because she had to see her partner, which was a bit of a problem. So we'd split up, but for the kids, blah blah blah. So, and I'm like, we went for coffee. I'm like, are you literally having a panic attack 10 days before you see them? It's like, yeah. It's like, why? Oh, I was like, it's okay, yeah, to be a little bit pensive, yeah, in a situation. And it's like, I quizzed it. It's like, do you think that you're in danger, physically or psychological danger? He says, yeah, he's a manipulative twat who was a bit aggressive. It's like, but you're not going to die. He's not going to kill you in front of your kids. Yeah, it's not going to be the case. And through discussion, yeah, and just like not escalating the situation, chances are it'll be fine. And it's been fine every time for the last year. And she's like, oh. And she didn't have any panic attacks after that, beforehand, because it's just like, you have to say to yourself, I don't need it now. I don't need this now. I'm allowed to have it or something related to it later. But you don't need it now. And so exposure is the best way. Now then, here's the thing, and this is particularly associated with training. Rather than just willy-nilly doing things that are a bit dangerous, training is fantastic, because training has two things going on. One, you have a person that tells you how to do something and tells you how, corrects you when you're wrong. Yeah. They have to be a good trainer, not just someone who knows something, somebody that can actually train you. And also, in a training course, you are in a completely safe environment. Okay, I've had 2 people go to hospital, but that's fine. It's thousands of people. That was their fault, I assure you. Actually, one was an accident, one that was their fault. So yeah, training puts you in a safe environment where you're allowed to make mistakes, which means you can push yourself further, which means it's less stressful. It's not dangerous as such anymore. It's still the same actions, but you're in a safe environment because somebody's going to ensure that you don't die. I was involved in a survival challenge whereby these people were set off. That had fuck all sleep, fuck all to eat, and they were set off. It's like they follow the river, blah 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 blah. And they got no kit, no nothing. It's like my job was to ensure that they didn't die. So they went off. I went off. I just kept an eye on them. They didn't know that, but I had a first aid kit. I wanted to make sure they didn't go completely the wrong way. Didn't want them to get hypothermia if they fell into the river. Yeah, all of that shit. That was my job. I see what it is. It's a safe environment. So I urge you, if you have the opportunity, to take courses. I would take courses in sailing. I'm not going to hire a boat and teach myself to sail. It's a fucking disaster. I wouldn't have taught myself to be able to go out in a 4/7 in the dark on a lifeboat, because it's fucking mental. Nobody just learns first aid at like high level when you're going to be dealing with like shitty situations. Nobody just works it out. They get a book and they practice and they practice. And that's another thing. You practice. This is basically, again, exposure. The more you expose yourself to a situation, the easier it is and calmer you can remain. And tell you something else about lifeboats. Lifeboat on-ride training is fucking incredible. And if you do lots and lots of practice with people, and if you have people that know more than you, even within your lifeboat selection, you get this sort of secondary level of training through during the practice. and you practice the things that you would have to do in the bad times in calmer situations. And what that means, and it took a little while for it to dawn on me, is that when you've practiced and practiced and practiced all of this and all this like set of skills, then when you go out on service, you all the stress, the sea is not a problem, the dark's not a problem, the communication is not a problem, all of this is fine. All of the things that you have to do are so second nature, all of the skills you have to perform are so second nature, that all that you have to deal with is the little bits that makes it different. Like, this is 3 kids, one of which has a medical problem. And it's like, okay, so we can get there, then this, we can put ropes on, and all of these things. We do all of that. We just got this little bit to deal with. Yeah. And that that makes the whole thing way less potentially stressful. And you find that lifeboat crew, soldiers, loads of people are just like super fucking calm in real life, because the situations they find themselves in are like super duper less stressful. Nurses, A&E, like accident emergency nurses. Can you imagine? Like any form of medical situation at home, it's like, we'll be fine. I had that some on courses as well. Used to have some doctors and things like that, and it's just like they're so lackadaisical and calm when someone cuts themselves. So I would just do this and stick a dressing on it and blah blah blah. Anyway, I've probably talked too much now. Fight, fright, freeze is basically combated by exposure. So get off your ass and go. And if you want to be the calm guy or gal, get off your ass and do things that are a bit stressful. Just a little teeny bit more stressful than you are used to, or as stressful as you're used to in a different context. If you are used to interviewing someone because you're in HR, interview some people about other things. Go and be interviewed about things. Go just something. So this is a very bad example that I did off the cuff. So, but yeah, go. Oh, for God's sake, just go and do a first aid course. If you haven't done a first aid course, go on a first aid course. Take your kids on a first aid course. Do as much first aid as you possibly can, and practice it, and get a book over there. But I've done so much medical, and it's not even funny. So, yes, do things that are somewhat more stressful than you are used to in any vein, and just keep going. You'll actually find it quite fun. Actually, the adrenaline becomes quite fun, because if this is premeditated, you'll find that you know that nobody's going to die. If you want to go climbing sheer rock faces when you weren't normally into bouldering, then you're pretty sure, because you are in the same sort of department, that nobody's going to die. It might be stressful, but when you've done it a dozen times, you'll be fine. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, so do that. Go and do some stressful stuff, and stick it in the comments the stressful stuff that you've done that helped you be calmer, and how long things took for you to get used to them, like climbing or this or whatever it might be. But yeah, having fits, for instance, I developed epilepsy. First fit, second fit, bloody hell, third. Now I'm just, if I'm going to have a fit, I'm pretty bloody calm about it because of the exposure that I've had. And that's the key. The key is exposure. If you can do it through training, fair enough. But go and find organized or semi-organized things to do and just do them. Little bit less, more stress, little bit more stress. And generally speaking, the more you do, the calmer you'll get. So do that. That's the secret. Right. That was 56 minutes. Thank you for anybody that stayed. Stick some stuff in the comments and I shall speak to you tomorrow.